Stephen Putnam. You were also part of this movement for a period of time. What turned you on?
How long? I became involved 81, 82, and sporadically until just this past September in Ross here.
What was it about the Rama that you...
Oh, I was at a juncture. I had just graduated high school, and I was questioning things. I was taking some time out before I went to college to examine my life and values and so forth. It's a common thing. Anyway, I was looking for a unifying, cohesive element, a religion, and I wasn't...
Oh, you all sound like you're from seminars. Unifying, cohesive. My God.
Well, I was looking for something to tie it all together, and a friend of a friend suggested this. I went and saw him. He had all the right catchwords. He talked about spiritual life and the material life being intricately linked and so forth, and I thought, well, that's great. I don't have to wear a turban and, you know, count beads and so forth.
And you can make money.
Yeah, you can make money and have a nice car and dress well and be a spiritual aspirant.
And your girlfriend was along with you for
No, I hadn't even met her at this point.
Oh, you hadn't met her yet.
So it went on. I became involved and slowly became more and more convinced he's an enlightened teacher. He is what he says and this sort of thing.
Did you get into the inner core or the inner circle?
No, I never...
and there was one, was there not?
Oh, clearly. His administrative staff, his assistants, that group, yeah, that he dealt with more closely.
So when did you meet Mercedes, your girlfriend?
No, Mercedes. Oh, several years back.
Sounds like there are a lot more. Well, let's just deal with Mercedes.
Yeah, I met her several years back at the university in Santa Barbara.
So you didn't join at the same time?
Oh, no, not at all.
What happened to Mercedes once she became a follower?
She had a rough experience. A lot of people have the benefit of a slow indoctrination. She had the crash course to psychosis, you could say. She started attending in his new Rama seminars package. She began attending with myself and some other friends. A period of time went by, and she was approached by Lenz.
And Rama's name is Frederick Lenz.
Frederick Lenz, Rama. I don't like to call him Rama. It seems silly at this point.
But not to... let me do something here, because we want to hear a little of Nancy. Sure. Mercedes ended up being...
Yeah, she went through the same sort of sexual manipulation. Yeah. There was drugs and coercion and so forth.
Now, Nancy, Nancy Knepfer, what was your relationship with the Rama, and how long were you with him?
Well, I think you'll like the fact, Ross, that I wasn't looking for anything. I was recently divorced. I moved back to the United States after being in Europe for a number of years. I wasn't looking for anything. I don't believe in the New Age crap, as I considered it at that time. Never would have occurred to me to go meditating.
Is that another one of those buzzwords?
Yeah, that's my buzzword.
Straight here.
Exactly. And my sister moved down to Los Angeles from San Francisco when Lenz closed his meditation group. I'd been living in Luxembourg for the previous 10 years. I had no idea such groups even existed, or that my sister was involved. My sister's a person that I, at that time, loved and trusted, and I believed in her that, yeah, go learn to meditate. Maybe it'll help me ease myself through this transitional phase of getting used to being in America again and going through all the things I was going through in my personal life at that time. I was not aware of mind control techniques that groups like this use. I went to my first meditation, became unconscious during the meditation with Lenz, and although I was aware of the fact that I didn't believe what he was saying, that it sounded like a bunch of crap, that these people were all wearing black and walking with a flower to their guru seemed ridiculous, I kept going and I didn't know why. And I ended up giving up my job, giving up my career. I was a bank vice president of an international bank in Los Angeles. I was moved out here by that bank to establish an office for them in Los Angeles. I was responsible for the credit side of the bank and for business development as well, so I had quite a responsible position. In any case, I gave up my career, gave up my job, moved to Boston because he was starting a Boston center at that time. Once I got to Boston, I realized that the group was not what it was cracked up to be, that there was a great dichotomy between what Lenz purported to be teaching and what his students were doing and what they were saying.
How much money do you can figure, because you're probably good with figures.
Yes.
How much money do you think you spent involved with Zen Master Rama?
In cash layouts, for the 5-month involvement from January to May 1985, I gave out a little over $30,000 in cash. What it has cost me in lost wages, a year of therapy, moving back and forth from Boston, and the whole experience is a little less than $200,000 for a 5-month involvement.
Just generally speaking, do you all feel that he's a fraud?
Oh, clearly.
Absolutely.
Clearly.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
I think it's a real shame to put everything else down because there are a few rotten apples perhaps out there, and to immediately assume anything to do with meditation has to be weird and flaky and spacey.
Now, he has spent years studying what he calls spiritual counterfeits. Along with Tall is Dr. Wayne Surdam. He has been a student of Rama since 1982. And would it be fair for me to say, probably the stories you've heard, these people, are narrow-minded bigots?
Well, I'll accept your words. They're fine with me.
Well, these are quotes I had from a producer that you said. So they're my words from you. Thank you. Sure. Narrow-minded bigots.
May I elucidate? You know, when I first read the media coverage, and of course I try to keep on top of the media, I was convinced that what we had here were some disgruntled students who were trying to convey fantastical arguments based on personal vindictiveness. What I realize now is that there's something much more insidious going on. That these people are linked together in an organization called the Cult Awareness Network, that this organization is committed to religious bigotry and religious repression. And this is quite shocking to me in today's America. And it's also quite shocking to me that the stories that are being conveyed to us here and in the media are, as far as I can tell from my research, quite false.
All right, Wayne, set the record straight. What does this man give to his students?
You're speaking of Dr. Lenz.
Or Zen Master Rama.
Yes, or Zen Master Rama. The bottom line with the teaching is meditation. Rama is convinced, as I am convinced, that practices of meditation can be very, very beneficial to individuals.
In what way?
Fine. That basically we have the potential to improve our awareness, to bring energy into our lives, to, in general, convey within ourselves what is essentially a state of enlightened awareness.
And how does that help us in life? Does it help us make more money? Are we better people?
Now, that all depends on the individual, of course. I think the key here is working with all the circuits on. And that's really what meditation does. It clicks on the circuits. We're all individuals, and we're all going to approach life in our individual way. What I object to here is a one-sided hatchet job that I've seen in the media, and in fact I see on this show. I mean, what's going on here? We have 4 people and myself. I feel a bit like the lone voice in the wilderness.
Well, we did, just so you'll know, we invited Zen Master Rama. Would not return calls, would not talk to anybody, would not come up at our expense and stay at a beautiful hotel. He could have been on our set. He refused to come.
Fine. Interestingly enough, 2 representatives of Dr. Lenz agreed to come up here, and when they agreed to come up, the members of the panel were questioned, and they refused to appear if these individuals were on the show. Now, what's going on? What do we have here? Are they afraid that their stories are going to be countered? I think we have members in the audience who, in fact, knew these people during the years they worked with Rama and will convey a very, very different view.
Who are some of those members in the audience? All right, is it Manuel or whatever? Yeah, go ahead, Imam.
I've been a student of Rama since 1981-82, and I used to know Annie Eastwood very well. We were great friends.
Do you agree with that, Annie?
Yes. We loved each other very much, great friends. I remember very clearly that in the early summer of 1982, at one of our center meetings in Manhattan Beach, Annie Eastwood informed me that Rama had invited her to spend the following Saturday afternoon with him. She was very excited, and the following week, only 3 days after that meeting, Annie Eastwood talked to me outside the club in Manhattan Beach. And
What
what
would
she
she tell
told
you?
me was, I've never been so happy before. My life has changed completely. My life will never be the same. Annie Eastwood, the Annie Eastwood you knew, is gone. I met a whole new person.
Because, Annie, you did stay for about 11 months after
right.
that
Hard to
incident.
say. Yeah, it's hard to say rape, Annie, when you're there 11 months with this man.
Something about that people do not know about rape is that a common phenomena for women who have been raped is denial. And nobody wants to be a victim. And to let that in, to let in the reality this person that I trusted would rape me, destroy me, threaten my life is something I don't want to admit. First of all, it puts my own judgment in jeopardy. And what I would feel about myself and the blame that I would put on myself for not seeing that. Although the point is I did what I needed to do in order to survive. It worked. But common to women who have been raped is this phenomena of denial, and I was heavily into denial. I had to turn off my feelings and go numb in order to go through that experience with Rama that night. And it took me 1 year to pull back my own self-esteem enough to trust my judgment to say what this man does and what he says are opposite. And I went to him and I confronted him and I said, this is what you're doing. He said, it's not my fault. I said, the women around you are screwed up, and you're talking women and enlightenment. He said, it's not my fault. And then he blamed his students, and I walked.
And as we go to a commercial break, let me just say, I mentioned that it's hard to say rape after 11 months. You can be in a good relationship with the definition of a rape and still be raped. I mean, I don't want all the calls to come in to say that was wrong of me to say, because I'd be in real trouble. You know what I mean, Dorothy? We'll be back after this commercial break. Stay tuned.